His name is Aleister Crowley. He is said to be the father of modern Satanism. His desire was to use musicians to bring a new age about. Next slide. In his book, The Law of Thelema, he talks about using an army of youth to promote his philosophy of Satanism, do what thou wilt, which became in the 60s, do your own thing. Next slide. He said, I say today to hell with Christianity. I will build me a new heaven and new earth. I want blasphemy, murder, rape, revolution, anything bad. Next slide. Crowley taught that one could become a genius in music through the practice of Satanism. Next slide. Crowley, who had written many books on Satanism, admitted in his book, Black Magic, that he had sacrificed hundreds of children to Satan. Crowley was run out of Italy and called by the press of his day the wickedest man on earth. Crowley stated that in 1904, a spirit he later identified as Satan himself dictated to him another book that he wrote called the Book of the Law. Crowley is considered by many to be the patron saint of rock and roll. Crowley admitted his first step must be to get into personal communication with the devil. Crowley said, I was opposed to an omnipotent God. I was not content to believe in a personal devil and serve him in the ordinary sense of the word. I wanted to get a hold of him personally and become his chief of staff. Next slide. He said, I turned therefore to America, to a nebulous mass which I expect to develop into an organized galaxy. Every race, language, and creed of Europe is represented. All Americans are eager for power in one form or another. No humbug so outrageous as to deter them from the running after the new religion. Next slide. Their dauntless innocence persuade me that just as soon as they have acquired the critical faculty, they will progress spiritually more swiftly and sanely than has ever been known. Next slide. Crowley was open about his homosexuality. Crowley stated that we will have to destroy God's order for the family, consisting of men and women as husband and wife. Next slide. Crowley stated in his book, Magic Without Tears, next slide, the family was public enemy number one. Next slide. He said things like heroin and alcohol may be and should be used for the purpose of worshiping. That is, entering into communion with the snake that giveth knowledge and delight and bright glory. Crowley was also a heavy supporter of drugs as a means of worship. Crowley was a heavy supporter of meditation. And get this, Crowley was a huge supporter of yoga. He was huge. It was one of his, he said it was one of his biggest avenues to talk to Satan himself. Crowley stated, beneath the standard of objectivity, I serve my great and master, Satan. Next slide. This next slide here is a picture of an album that Jimmy Page put together for a movie called Lucifer Rising, and on the cover of the album is a picture of Aleister Crowley. Next slide. This is a cover of an album of Jim Morrison of The Doors, posing as if he were Jesus at the Last Supper with his disciples, who were standing around a small statue of Aleister Crowley. This next picture is probably the most wickedest man I've ever seen, heard in my life. Slide, please. His name is Marilyn Manson. And he is wicked. And he is bold about his love for Satan. He is a priest in the Church of Satan today. Next slide, please. This is a video clip. There's no way I could show you the video. It's so nasty. But this is a video clip of Marilyn Manson in one of his videos. The video starts out with him on a bed with a woman in red lingerie. And then halfway through the video, it goes to a young boy. And then at the end, a young boy in red lingerie. And then at the end, it's him and a Aleister Crowley look-alike on the bed. This next clip is it's a small video, and besides Marilyn Manson, besides Satanism, drugs, homosexuality, self-mutilation, suicide, murder, Manson's message is the destruction of Christianity. Take a look at this.
Manson said, "Hopefully I'll be remembered as the person who brought an end to Christianity."
My fellow Americans, we will no longer be oppressed by the fascism of Christianity. And we will no longer be oppressed by the fascism of beauty. Because I see you all sitting out there trying your hardest not to be ugly, trying your hardest not to fit in, trying your hardest to earn your way into heaven. But let me ask you, do you want to be in a place that's filled with a bunch of
It's amazing. But what's more amazing is if we checked your iPod, your MP3 player today, how many of you would have this garbage on it? And you can sit here this morning and look at that and say, oh, but the reality is that many of you are pumping that junk in your head. And you wonder why when you're at a conference like this, this is what you do the whole time. And you wonder why everyone else around you is excited about serving God. And you wonder why these preachers get up here and say, hey, jump in the water, it's fine. And is it really? That's why right there. Satan has got you so fooled. You think you got it all together. Next slide. Ozzy Osbourne said that Aleister Crowley was a phenomenon of his time. This next video clip is Ozzy Osbourne paying tribute to Aleister Crowley. Next slide. Mr. Charming. Ozzy Osbourne and his band Black Sabbath go as far as to have altar calls to receive Satan as Lord. Next slide. Again, we sit in awe this morning, but you've got it on your iPod. And you're not even thinking about it. Satan is talking to you on a daily basis, and you don't even know it. So, man, I've grown up in church all my life, and I've heard preacher after preacher get up and say, hey, rock music's wrong, but there it is. They're telling you themselves. I'm not telling you, they are. I've got to move. This next clip is Black Sabbath talking about a mystical member. This is amazing. Go ahead.
I was getting into, not practicing, but reading a lot of spiritualism and black magic and white magic and all that kind of stuff, which, a lot of people were doing at the time, which was like the post-hippie generation kind of thing, so all the peace and love was going out the window. And spiritualism and meditation, all that was coming in, so I was interested in that. And somebody gave Ozzy this old 16th century book of black magic, and it was all written in, I think it was Latin. And he brought it round to my flat because he knew that I was interested in books and magic and all that kind of thing. And I just got this really weird vibe off it. And I put it in this cupboard in the apartment that I was living in. And that night I just woke up suddenly and there was just like this black shape at the bottom of my bed. And it just it's just vanished into thin air as I was staring at it. And I just had the thought, it's got to have something to do with this book that Ozzy brought round for me, and I like leapt out of bed, rushed to the cupboard to throw this book out, and the book was gone. And the next day I told Ozzy about it, and about 3 days after that we came up with our first song, Black Sabbath, and Ozzy just like related my experience in the lyrics.
Big black shape with eyes of fire, telling people their desire. Satan sitting there, he's smiling. Watches those flames get higher and higher. Oh no, please God help me.
We've always, within the band, said there is a fifth member, a mystical member, yeah. We've always said there's something looking over us.
And the only way that I can describe that, probably in its best, the best way for me is that when we were playing our first songs together, and especially our first the first 3 albums, for instance, we would literally show up in a room, and it was almost as if the songs were already written. That's why I like to call Black Sabbath a phenomena, rather than a band. Although it is a rock and roll band, there's a phenomena involved there where that stuff just comes from somewhere, and it just so happened that we happen to be the ones that it came.
That stuff just comes from somewhere. We'd literally show up in a room and the songs were already written. Youth pastor, I can handle it. No, you can't. I've seen interviews with Ozzy Osbourne now, and he's literally scared to death to die because he knows where he's going. He knows. Next slide. According to Spin Magazine, Slim Shady is a spirit that Eminem had made contact with.
Come on, preacher. Come on. Mark on him a while.
Slim Shady.
Come on, preacher. Sing this rap, John. Come on.
Rex Church is a priest in the Church of Satan, and this is what he said about music. Again, it's not me, it's them that say it. Next slide.
Represents the powers of force in nature, and we feel that a cleansing of the idiot ideology of the pallid, incompetent Christ is in order. And so this is something that the Church of Satan is conducting on many different avenues. We're doing this through the use of what we have called aesthetic terrorism. This involves the creative use of art, music, writing, effectively what we call propaganda, the dissemination of information to influence what we call iron youth.
What we call iron youth. See, they're not after me. They're after you. They don't care about me. They're coming after you. And they're bold enough to tell you, hey, I'm coming after you. Next slide. This is Rex Church today. Oh, maybe things will get better. No, they only get worse. They only get worse. Next slide. I've got to move. Anton LaVey is the founder of the Church of Satan, and he wrote the Satanic Bible. He said, today's satanic bands are the vehicle of choice for millions of young people. If they encourage a study of real Satanism, I'm all for them. And as I was going through this, boy, I tell you what, I was feeling like dirt. Weeks and weeks of wallowing in this, it will make you feel like dirt. Satanic teaching was not the only thing Satan was using Aleister Crowley to teach, but Also that sex was something that you could do with thy will. With also, 2 Timothy 2:22 says, flee also youthful lust, but follow after righteousness, faith, charity, peace, and with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. Christina Aguilera made the statement about her music, which includes songs like Rub Me the Right Way, whatever I do is my business, and it's not my job to parent America. The statement that these guys in this next video are going to make, and the words of the songs that they sing, like songs like Lay Down Beside Me, it's bad enough that they sing this stuff. But what's worse is their fan base is 10, 11, 12-year-old little girls. And it's crude. Next slide.
In their song, Lay Down Beside Me, they state, quote, the way your body swings as I watch you from behind, how I could fly in. Baby, let me be the one to hold you, to give you the things I know you need. If you lay down beside me, you can get all inside me, and I can get all inside you too. If you lay down beside me, you can wake up beside me.
Youth pastor, I can handle it. No, you can't. Be that teenage girl that was up here and that played the other night. Pregnant youth pastor, what do I do now? What do I do now? Mick Jagger, head singer of Rolling Stones, said this about rock music. Rock music is all about sex, and you have to hit them right in the face with it. Next slide. Madonna led the world in the 80s with the Material Girl, straight into the 21st century with what is called sirendom. Next slide. Madonna told Rolling Stone about her company, Siren Films. She said, you know what a siren is, don't you? It's a woman who draws men to their death. Next slide. Sirens were said to be nymphs who seduced sailors on passing ships through their singing and led them to their destruction. So Proverbs chapter 7 verse 25 says, let not thine heart decline to her ways, but go not astray in her paths, for she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. Next slide. The sirens were said to sing prophecies relating to the kingdom of Hades or hell. Next slide. Madonna had made this statement, I'm a tormented person. I have a lot of demons inside of me. My pain is as big as my joy. Madonna not only practiced this on men, but also on women. And also on animals. If you were to watch this video, this clip right here, which I won't show it to you, it goes from men, and at the end of the video it goes to dogs. And the whole thing is her in this black cape, and she's constantly doing this as she sings. She's seducing him. It's wicked stuff. Next clip. Madonna uses her videos as a weapon to desensitize and demoralize her fans into accepting the destructive practice of sexual immorality as normative. Next slide. Madonna said they digest it on a lot of different levels. Some people will see it and be disgusted by it, but maybe they'll be unconsciously aroused by it. If people keep seeing it and seeing it and seeing it, eventually it's not going to be such a strange thing. Madonna always starts her concerts out with homosexual acts. Always. You might remember a few years ago with Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, MTV Awards come out. I can't even show it to you. Madonna comes out as the man. They come out as the women. It was all over the papers and everything. Her kissing Britney Spears on stage. That was all planned out homosexual act. Desensitized. Hey, they're coming after you. Hey, if you hadn't got it yet, they're coming after you. They want you. They don't want me, they want you. This next video clip is of a man by the name of Billy Joel. If you don't know who he is, he had top 10 hits in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He's a 6-time Grammy Award winner and has sold in excess of 150 million albums worldwide. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in '92, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1999, and the Long Island Music Hall of Fame in 2006. This guy knows music. And this is what he had to say about it.
Music is essentially the manipulation of sound. It has the power to arouse, it has the power to frighten,
Billy Joel, looking back on the 50s and 60s, admitted that music was used for a subversive sexual revolution.
It has the power to make people feel profane. You know, and all those things they were saying about rock and roll in the early days, saying, oh, it's going to subvert our youth, it's going to make them all want to have sex, it's going to make them all go crazy. They were right.
I didn't say it. He said it. Rock music also promotes hatred and violence. This is what Michael Green, president of the Recording Academy, said about rock music. Go ahead.
Let's not forget that the arts are a compelling solution to teen violence. They're certainly not the cause of it.
Good evening, everyone. The reaction of so many people today was, oh no, not again. Another high school.
The guy at a table right next to us, next to me and her, and they just shot him.
Our schools are turning into killing fields.
And after 8 school shootings in 2 years, many wonder, how could it happen again?
Next slide. This is Dylan Klebold. He was one of the boys that went into Columbine and shot people, and then shot himself. If you notice his shirt, he's wearing a shirt that says KMFDM, and it's a acrostic for the German words. Next slide. No pity for the masses. Next slide. KMFDM states our records have warning stickers because they're not good for kids. KMFDM also have a song that says, if I had a shotgun, I'd kill myself. You know, it's amazing. Your parents spend thousands of dollars a year. They send you to Christian school. They send you to youth conference. They send you to camp. They buy you uniforms. They buy you clothes. They buy you new Bibles. They buy you everything. They keep you in a good environment and a good home. And this is what we do to it. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do what thou wilt. I'll listen to what I want, when I want, how I want. And Lester Crowley says, this is exactly what I said you'd do. I got to move. This next clip is a clip of Eminem. Eminem came out with an album called Role Model. He right now holds the record for the most albums sold in a 1-week period in history. This album, he sold 1.7 million records in 1 week. He said in one of the songs on Role Model, he said, if I could go back to Columbine, and I can't say what he said, but he said, I'd go back and kill people too. Yeah. This is just a clip from one of his songs.
Follow me and do exactly what the song says. Smoke weed, take pills, drop out of school, kill people and drink. Follow me and do exactly what the song says. Smoke weed, take pills, drop out of school, kill people and...
And you got it. You were one of the 1.7 million. You were one of the 1.7 million. And you rolling down the road in your car, and your mama's car, and you listen to that junk while your youth pastor sits at home and prays for you, and in his office and prays for you, and your pastor's on his knees crying and praying for you, and you don't care. Because Satan has got you and you don't even know it. You think you got it all figured out. Next clip. Rolling Stone magazine. They said this. It said a song or album can change your life. A great concert will change it on the spot. Next clip. Musician Anton LaVey said, music can inspire people to murder or violence. It can inspire them to shoot a mall full of people. Sound familiar? Yeah. April 20th, 1999. Columbine, Colorado. 13 students killed, 1 teacher, and then they killed themselves. Gateway Mall in St. Petersburg, Florida, 2004. A man walked into the mall, killing 2 and critically injuring another, then killed himself. Virginia Tech University, deadliest shooting in U.S. history, April 16, 2007. 33 people killed, 33 wounded. West Road Mall in Omaha, Nebraska, 2007. Robert Hawkins walked into the mall, killing 8, injuring 2, and then killed himself. Northern Illinois University, February 14, 2008. Former student entered a classroom, killing 5 and wounding many others before taking his own life. They're trying to tell you, but we won't listen. Next slide. The messages on Marilyn Manson's t-shirts. Warning, the music of Marilyn Manson contains messages that will kill God in your impressionable teenage mind. As a result, you could be convinced to kill your mom and dad. Next slide. And eventually, in an act of hopeless rock and roll behavior, you will kill yourself. Please, please burn your records while there's still hope. Next slide. Marilyn Manson declares, if somebody kills himself because of our music, then that's one less stupid person in the world. Raise your kids right, or better, or I'll be raising them for you. Next slide. He said, I don't know if anyone has really understood what we're trying to do, to lure people in, and once we've got them, we can give them our message. Next slide. Rock concerts are the churches of today. Music puts them on a spiritual plane. Sound familiar, young people? Sunday night, going to your church, see the church down the road. Concert tonight at 6 o'clock. Praise and worship tonight. Jimi Hendrix, in an interview, said that one day all churches will be concerts. This next clip is of a video of a group called ICP, or Insane Clown Posse. I want you to listen to it.
We didn't do nothing. We're just serial killers. Sure, we got a little problem with necrophilia. I admit it, but you came to us first, right? Just keep this in mind. They're playing our CDs when you're not home. They're playing my tapes in your own car, in the tape. And I'm influencing your children.
You know what necrophilia is? It's people who have sex with dead people. It's disgusting. But we listen to it. So, oh, I don't listen to that group. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Hey, don't let the devil lie to you this morning, because he's nudging you right now. Oh, thank God that's not my group. They're all the same. They all are out of hell. Every one of them.